Hello and welcome to Dream Team Coach TV, brought to you by Betway. I'm Sean Burke. Joining me is Nick Elliott, Andy Taylor and Jack Townsend. Coming up on this week's show.
His back is aching him on a weekly basis, carrying them.
This lad hasn't scored this season. I can't believe that. Also, what is he?
I just feel like maybe I've got my lucky pants on.
I hate De Bruyne.
In the words of the late Sean Connery, who saw that coming? I guess that is the first question.
If it's a battle of looks, then, they're both relegation candidates, really, aren't they?
Things go from bad to worse for Liverpool as they have now lost 6 league home games in a row. For a recap, that's now their worst ever run of home results in the league. They've become the first title holders ever to lose 6 home games in a row, and even the president of Namibia has tweeted his outrage. Silver lining, I imagine he's saving a fair bit on match day travel these days. We wanted an expert to talk with us about this, but instead we got Jack Townsend. How are you feeling about this? We are the champions after all. Are you all that bothered?
I think what's annoying me more is the joy that it's bringing everyone that isn't a Liverpool fan. And I understand that as a bit of rivalry. But I mean, for instance, I live with a Newcastle fan and he is absolutely loving it. But, Newcastle aren't exactly doing much better. They could go down. So I don't really get it. I mean,
you're both mid-table Premier League sides, though.
Exactly. So there's not much between us. But it is getting worrying now, isn't it? There's not many games left. And of those, you've got who's left? Arsenal, Villa, United, and they're the kind of the tough fixtures.
Yeah.
And I think it's beyond. You can't use injuries as an excuse anymore. They've been without these players for long enough that they should have come up with a new way of working.
I think it just shows that no one's immune to lack of confidence in football. Because actually, when you look at Klopp, he's probably the one person you'd want in that dressing room for a club that's low on confidence. And even he can't get, world-class players like Salah, Mane, Firmino, he can't get them firing at the moment. And it's just scary because I think you see it at the end of a lot of reigns, particularly in the Premier League. I don't know what it is about top clubs. When they go hard. When I was looking at the form table, so over the last 13 games, Liverpool is 16th in the form table, just to show like how long this has been going on for. And just the classic last 5 games, Liverpool are genuine in the relegation zone. So I think, Liverpool fans are right to be concerned. I think Van Dijk missing is mad. And I do think if Van Dijk was there, I don't think the confidence would have dipped as much as it was. But I think it's that front three that really concerns me the most. I mean, I don't know about you, and this is a really controversial statement, but do you not think that Salah's probably the most uninspiring top goal scorer I think I've ever seen in the Premier League? It's like, I actually don't believe that he's top goal scorer. Like, I'm like, is he actually? And I keep looking at the top goal scorer table. I'm like, yeah, I mean, fair play to me. He's got more goals than Fernandes, Kane, Bamford, Calvert-Lewin. And I'm like, I don't believe it almost. If I just came down from Mars and watched Liverpool play and you said to me, this lad hasn't scored this year, I could believe you. Do you know what I mean? It's just so uninspiring the way that he's playing.
In this context? Or
yeah.
Are you aware of the game of football?
Yeah, I am. I'm aware of the game. I'm aware of the game, but I don't keep up with current trends.
By the way, this lad hasn't scored this season. I can't believe that. Also, what is he? Also, what am I even looking at?
Look, if I was a Martian that understood the game but wasn't following current Premier League, okay, that's who I am.
Anthony Martian.
Oh.
Do you agree with that or not? Or am I just up the wrong tree here?
Well, there's 2 ways of looking at it, isn't it? Because I understand what you're saying, but also you could say, how good is Salah that everyone's saying, oh, he's not having a great season, and yet he's still leading the Golden Boot charts. Do you know what I mean? There's the same kind of thing you see with other great players when they set a standard for themselves, they're measured against their own expectations. And because Salah scored the most goals ever in a 38-game season, he's kind of always measured against that. So when he's game by game 10 goes below that, you think, oh, he's really under par. But it's like, well, he's only under par based on his record-breaking season. Van Dijk is a big loss, and the injuries will always be a caveat. Not a full excuse, but a caveat at this stage. But Mane, Firmino and Salah have been pretty available all season, really. The fact that they're not scoring goals, if they were in these kind of big shootouts and losing 4-3 or whatever, where the front three are scoring and this disarranged defence is getting exposed. But that's not what's happening, They lost 1-0 to Fulham.
Hold fire on the chat for a few minutes as it's time for the 4 to Win challenge. This week, our sponsor Betway has set us a horse racing themed challenge in honor of Cheltenham next week. I have the names of some horses here that have been named after people involved in the beautiful game. For each round, I'm going to present you with 2 names. You have to guess which one is real or if both of them are fake. So there's 3 potential answers. Okay, first up, Switcheroony and Slam Dunk.
Am I being stupid here? Slam Dunk. You're trying to tell me there's a horse named after Lewis Dunk?
That's
Maybe. Well, the true one was Switcheroony.
No.
Obviously. Well, maybe not. Maybe not.
It's not that obvious.
Right, so Andy and Nick both have a point for that so far.
Nightmare.
Right. Second, Chris Wood or Robbie Fowler.
I mean, if it's not Fowler, come on.
Well, I can reveal it's not Fowler. Somebody's named their horse after Christopher Wood. Chris Wood.
Chris Wood.
Yeah, I just made up Robbie Fowler. So nobody got that one right, though.
Fowler was a good red herring.
It was a good red herring. Third question. Thierry Henry or Kieran Dyer.
Come on now, this is just...
See now you've gone, what's your red herring saying now?
Thierry Henry.
I'm trying to think of another question where the 2 possibilities would be Dyer and Henry that would have 3 blokes going, I don't know.
No, 1 second, I might change.
I'm trying to get into the mind of the quizmaster here.
Can you take my second answer, please?
Well, the answer is neither of them are horses. Jack, you should have gone with your first answer.
I was like, no, I can imagine.
I was like, fair play,
Thierry
Jack.
Henry.
Fair play. But then you changed it. Nick and Andy have 1 point. Jack, you still have 0 points?
Would have been back on point.
Okay, and question 4. Keane or Defoe?
Straight in. Gut instinct.
I feel like I've heard of this horse, but I could be completely wrong.
Right, well, the answer is Defoe, and you all got that one right. Some intriguing names in there already, but stick around to find out who wins this week's 4 to Score challenge, because right now it's back to the football chat. Liverpool's loss wasn't the only shock home result as Man United beat the seemingly unstoppable Man City. As is tradition, Bruno scored a penalty and even United's left side fullback got in on the action. In the words of the late Sean Connery, who saw that coming? Well, I guess that is the first question. A couple of terrible puns already in this episode.
It's a bad pun bingo.
Yeah. Graz is ticking each one off there. But seriously, who did see that coming? I mean, we were talking about this last week, and we kind of, well, our guest Danny Mills pretty much wrote it off, as did the rest of us.
Credit's got to go to Solskjaer because these results over Man City. It's got to the point where it's a trend. So more than anyone, Solskjaer gets the better of Guardiola more than any other manager. Or at least that's been the case in the last 2 seasons. I saw some good tweets, saying like, can't believe Guardiola transformed Cancelo into a false 2, only to get beaten by a manager who says, go out there and play your best every week. but I know we kind of, in terms of like tactical knowledge and all that kind of stuff, people wouldn't put Solskjaer on a par with Guardiola. But the fact is, he's clearly realised with our counter-attack setup, we can get the better of this Man City team almost no matter how they set up. And Pep didn't do that thing, he didn't do the overthinking, try something different. It was basically the setup he's been using for the last 2 months. Same guys, same formation. And why wouldn't you? Because they've won 20-odd games in a row. But I'm wondering if next time now you will see something weird because he's, he keeps getting beaten by the same kind of thing, exploiting the space in behind. And I think, from Solskjaer's point of view, fair play. Why would you change anything different? You're consistently getting one over on the best team in the world, best team in the world at the moment.
But the thing is, do you not think it's... I don't want to spin a negative on United beating City, which is obviously a great result, but it does then really bring into context how poor the 0-0 against Palace was recently and the 1-1 against West Brom, the loss to Sheffield United, because we know pound for pound, United on their day can beat anyone in this league. So why on earth are they not doing it against the worst teams in the league? I mean, on form, that 0-0 against Palace was absolutely ridiculous. Like, with no Zaha, injuries all over the park. West Brom as well. I mean, they should have lost to West Brom, and they did lose to Sheffield United. Is it more mentality or tactics? I don't know.
Well, I think, I do think a bit of tactics, only because, we've said that it's been long established that Solskjaer has recognised that they're a great counter-attacking team. The problem is, when you're Man United, you don't get to counter-attack.
Yeah.
The majority of your opponents, you have to dictate the game. So, and that's where they found a problem against, like you say, teams like Palace who just want to dig in.
Yeah.
And that's where I think he has to find something else, because they do look a bit aimless when that's the task in front of them.
How do you think KDB, Kevin De Bruyne and Bruno Fernandes have compared this season? I mean, obviously Bruno's been the standout, but do you think Kevin De Bruyne has had the same chances to shine? Although he has started most of the games this season for Man City.
Well, on at the weekend, it wasn't De Bruyne, was it? It was some weird lookalike playing instead of him. And I'm not talking about Zinchenko. That was the worst game I've ever seen KDB play. Well, at least in the first half. Couldn't put a 10-yard pass together. It was really weird.
Yeah.
Well, for context as well, I think we need to say that I think this kind of stemmed from most combined 11s that came out of the weekend's kind of like pre-match build-up. Most people didn't have Bruno in their team, and they had KDB as kind of the attacking role. And I just thought that was really interesting, because actually Bruno, since he's joined, is probably statistically one of the best players the league has ever seen as midfielders go, really. I mean, his numbers are absolutely insane. So for them to say that KDB gets in, I thought was quite an interesting statement, and something I actually disagreed with quite a lot, to be honest.
Well, the stats you mentioned there, Andy, Kevin De Bruyne has 22 appearances in the league, 3 goals and 11 assists. Bruno has 28 appearances, 16 goals and 10 assists. So almost the same amount of assists. And
in a far worse
goals.
Team where his back is aching him on a weekly basis, carrying them. Do you know what I mean?
That's it.
The question that I raised was, could KDB go to United instead of Bruno and carry United like Bruno has? And I don't think he could. But is that just because he's a different player? Because KDB needs quality around him to get on the end of the world-class balls that he plays and the balls that he puts into the box. Whereas Bruno just grabs the game by the scruff of the neck and he just goes and does it himself.
Play them both, play them together.
Yeah, I mean, I think let's not get it wrong that we think they're both world-class players. If Graz cuts this, a bit dodgily, then it'll probably come across like I hate De Bruyne. And actually, he's probably one of the most beautiful players I've watched in the Premier League. It was just because.
What, in what sense?
I mean, not looks-wise. I mean, he's not and neither's Bruno. Let's be quite honest. I mean, if it's a battle of looks, then they're both relegation candidates, really, aren't they?
Jesus.
No, well, look, they're both better-looking lads than me, so I can say that, right?
Grad's going to take that looks comment and the bit where you said, I hate De Bruyne, where he's going to make it look like I hate De Bruyne. And that's going to be the trailer at the start of this show. It's time for the memes. Each week, our panelists submit a meme to the Dream Team Instagram page, and you folks get to vote for your favorite. So if you're not already following us on Instagram, head on over to our page and get involved. Right. Who's up first?
Yeah, this was not my best work, I'll be honest.
I mean, it's a funny video.
It is, but it was just, when you kind of like scrapping around last minute for one.
Yeah.
It's kind of how it felt for me.
Next up, I think it's Nick's, isn't it?
Yes, mine, yeah. Simple, very simple. Just thinking, just wonder if there's any simmering jealousy from Son as, Bale and Kane struck up a little partnership last weekend. Just thought he's looking at that going, well, that's supposed to be my role. I know Son's still chipping in with his own assists, but I just thought, what's going on there?
And finally, Jack's meme, which is a great source.
I enjoyed this one.
But look, I know where you're going with that, Jack. Pro Man United, the biggest social audience on the internet. It's as simple as that.
No, it's
just not pro Man United as it gets. Like we're hyping up Man United's left back,
and you've got an anti Liverpool, which everyone also is jumping on.
But let's see how we've done this week. Okay, in third place with 267 points is Nick Elliott. Hard luck.
You could have done this video as well. Really?
It's true. I could have had if I'd used your video. Oh yeah, Kane taking the chair. No, Bale taking the chair, which is
Kane.
away from. Oh, should have done it.
In second place with 365 points is Andy Taylor. So, and a resounding winner with 1,172 votes is Jack Townsend. Congratulations. We've got the North London derby this weekend as Spurs look resurgent, Gareth Bale is on fire, and Arsenal wallow in mid-table. It doesn't take Sherlock Holmes to see things aren't looking good for Arsenal, but they sure could use his help finding some form. What have Spurs got right now that Arsenal don't? Because they've won a couple of games in a row and they seem to have turned things around a little bit.
I don't know if Spurs are actually doing that much better than Arsenal. In the last 8 games, they've won the same amount of games. They've both only won 3. And Arsenal have actually drawn 2 games, whereas Spurs lost those.
Well, it's just Spurs, isn't it? It's like we see a couple of great performances against bang average teams and suddenly, genuinely, they're definitely. I've seen people go, they're definitely top 4. It's like, how can you say that? They were playing exactly like this at the start of the season, and look what happened. We just all get, it's like Will Smith's come in with his little Men in Black, and we just get zapped and we forget how poor Spurs have been for the last 3 months. Do you know what I mean? It's like, nice one, lads. You're beating Palace 4-1 and you're beating Burnley 4-0 at home. Look, I know you got to beat what's in front of you. We've just criticised Ollie for not doing that. But ultimately, I care more about the 2-1 loss to West Ham. They lost 3-0 to City. They got knocked out of the FA Cup by Everton. They lost to Chelsea in the league. They lost to Brighton in the league. They lost to Liverpool in the league. Those are the results that I'm caring about more than them beating, Cheeseburger in the Europa League.
It's funny with Spurs, isn't it? Because they, when it wasn't going so well and they were being really negative, and there was this feeling that the fans were like, well, can we at least, if we're going to lose, we might as well, can we at least give it a go, a bit of entertainment? Let's have some forward players on the pitch, right, aside from just Son and Kane trying to do it themselves. And Jose did that kind of thing like, oh, you like forwards? Let's have them all then. That's not, oh, you like cigarettes? Why don't you smoke the whole pack in front of me? Lucas Moura, Bale, Son, Kane. Do you know what I mean? It's like 4-2-4. And in some of those games, one of the 2 was on Dembele, who's obviously kind of an attacking asset in himself. And I kind of thought maybe Jose was like, fine, I'll name a stupidly attacking formation and we'll probably get caught out and lose to Burnley. And then they just absolutely dominated them. And Jose's probably thinking, maybe everyone was right. Maybe we do have enough attacking talent to just blow away the bottom half teams. Maybe I should have been doing this the whole time. I bet there was a secret bit of Jose that, he would have felt justified if they'd lost and been caught out, by being too naively forward attacking. But actually, it turns out if you've got Bale, Son, Kane, and actually Moura's been playing well as well. If you've got those guys, maybe it might not work against City, etc. But you are going to win quite a lot of games by having all those guys on the pitch.
Just on the North London derby itself, though, I mean, Harry Kane just loves it against Arsenal. I've been doing a lot of research naturally for the cheat sheet, and he's played against Arsenal 12 times, and he's only failed to score in 2 of those games. And also just Arsenal, they haven't kept a clean sheet in the last 8. As much as Spurs haven't, beaten the best sides in recent weeks, they are still scoring goals. They've got a lot of confidence behind them. It's just, for me, I think it's a case of how many Spurs are going to score against Arsenal. But always that theory of it's Spurs. Like, how can they like go against all the numbers? Because all the numbers are pointing to Spurs. Arsenal haven't won any of the last 4 against Spurs. They've lost the last 2, I think. Arsenal have as well. And against Burnley, they were just really turgid. I think they had 3 shots on target against Burnley. It was just like, oh my God, if you've got to be beating Burnley, lads. Come on. All of it's pointing towards Spurs, but, Spurs could find a way of messing it up. I don't know how they're going to do it, but they could.
I'm going to put my neck on the line and back Arsenal. Just, I don't know, just got that feeling.
They have it in them. That's what's so frustrating about them, is that they beat Leicester away, a game of which I was not confident going into.
Leeds as well.
Yeah, Leeds as well. And then draw with Burnley. It's just like...
If you had to stick your neck out, Sean, what are we saying? Predictions?
I'm going to stick my neck out like Jack and say Arsenal are going to come up with a surprise result.
Wow, we've got 2 Arsenal wins on the panel.
If Jack, a Liverpool fan, predicted it, and then me, an Arsenal fan, was like, you know what, Jack, I'm going to go against my own club there.
The reason I'm doing it is because I did the exact same thing for them against Leicester. I said, I've got a feeling about Arsenal, and then you came back at me with stats at how traditionally Leicester get the better of Arsenal, but it came off. So I don't know. I just feel like maybe I've got my lucky pants on.
I'm going to go 3-3. I think it's going to be a classic. Yeah, I can see it. I can see Saka scoring one. I can see Bale getting one. I can see Kane getting one.
Yeah.
I can see Luis popping up with a header. I can just see it all going on.
In both ends.
Yeah, in both ends, yeah.
The North London Derby is one of the very few kind of highly billed fixtures that doesn't disappoint usually. It's actually quite consistently entertaining. You know, it's like the opposite of Liverpool versus Man United.
Well, we have to find out who won our 4-to-win challenge this week and hopefully hear some ridiculous names for horses in the process. Let's see what happened.
So I'm out of this one, I think.
You're out of this one, sadly, Jack.
Sorry, mate.
One of these horses is real, and it's just between Nick and Andy. Bergkamp or Ginola?
Graz's horse.
Nice North London Derby theme to this one.
We have a winner. The answer is Bergkamp.
No.
Yes! Come on!
Fair play, Andy. Fair play.
Yes.
Well done, lads. That was a good game.
I like that.
That was more difficult than I thought it'd be.
Get your money on Bergkamp.
You can play Betway's 4-to-win every day during Cheltenham. Simply head on over to Betway. It's free to enter, and all you need to do is pick the winner of 4 selected races for a chance to win £25,000 every day at the Cheltenham Festival. Well, that's all from us, folks. Thank you for joining us on another episode of Dream Team Coach TV, brought to you by Betway. So update those dream teams, enjoy the football, and we will see you again next week. Take care.